Hello and welcome back to another AEW Dynamite review. We're back, we're getting close to full gear. We're now one more episode of Dynamite away from full gear and I'm very excited. It's been a good week of wrestling. I've still to watch it, but I've heard Halloween Havoc was an absolute delight. We're Bound for Glory, we had a fantastic episode of Impact. Overall, it's such a good time to be a wrestling fan, even though we can't go to the shows, unfortunately. But let's just crack on with AEW. And the show opened with, I believe, the second ever promo segment to open a show in the history of Dynamite. MJF was stood backstage with Wardlow and Dasha. And Dasha says, Wardlow, you're in the semi-finals of this, world title eliminator. What's going to happen? And MJF kind of steps in and says, look, no matter what happens, if Wardlow goes on, wins here, beats Kenny, beats the champ, or beats whoever, then beats the champ, I'm now the AEW World Heavyweight Champion, not Wardlow, me, MJF. And then Wardlow kind of looks at him, but he's like, yeah, that's the plan, he's the boss. And then Sammy walks over, and Sammy Guevara's not happy. And he gets right in his face, and MJF's like, whoa, what about your jacket, buddy? And he's like, first of all, we're not my buddy, we're not friends. You will never be part of the inner circle. We don't like you, we don't want you here. And he gets backing up in his face. And they start having a little war of words. And then MJF says, what are you going to do about it? And he keeps on talking, and he keeps on talking, and he keeps on talking. And then Sammy goes, then he says, there's nothing you're going to do about it. And then Sammy goes, nah, the reason I've not been talking is I'm thinking of everything I'm going to do about it. And you're right in each other's faces, but then I think Wardlow kind of steps in. And then he's got his match. So Sammy walks away. MJF leaves Wardlow to go out on his own, and the show opens with Wardlow and Hangman Page in the semi-final of the World Title Eliminator Tournament. This match was just as you expected, just two big men who shouldn't be as quick and as agile as they are, being very quick and agile, but also just big, massive, huge individuals. Wardlow really impressed me in this match, like he has almost every time he's got in the ring. Wardlow just has this built-in physical charisma with everything he does. It's a very understated physical charisma, but it made me think last night, you look at him, he is this big, huge, good-looking, athletic powerhouse dude, which makes it very easy to hate him. But also, down the line and maybe a year from now, when he turns his back on MJF, he's also this big, handsome, powerhouse, athletic, buff, massive dude, which will also make it quite easy to get on board. A few big spots that stick out to me is Hangman hit an Orihara moonsault to the outside. I think there was a cactus clothesline first. They both went out, and an Orihara moonsault from the top rope to the floor on Wardlow. Then he rolled Wardlow in the ring and hit him with a running shooting star for a 1 count. Wardlow got out at 1. As well, at one point, Hangman was up, sitting on the top rope, and Wardlow came in to hit him, but Hangman sort of fell back and hit a big Suzuki draping armbar, locked that in for a few seconds, and that was good. I just like seeing moves that you don't really associate with someone. I think Hangman is a guy that you associate with a lot of powerful, athletic, big burst moves, I guess. But you don't really think of him as being a technically proficient wrestler, but in a match like this, when he has to adapt to style, because he's wrestling a guy who is bigger than him, which very rarely happens, especially in AEW. He's now being a little bit smarter with some more technical stuff, which I enjoyed. It was also a bit where Hangman kind of hit his fall-away slam from the top rope. It was more of an exploder because I don't think anyone has the strength to hold Wardlow up whilst also being on the top rope with your back to the ring. I just don't think that's a possibility. So it was kind of more of an exploder from the top rope. And I believe that just led into the finish when Hangman hit a buckshot lariat and Wardlow stayed on his feet. He didn't go down. He sort of fell down to one knee, but barely even fell down to one knee. And then Hangman just ran, jumped out the ring, one more buckshot, and picked up the win. And Hangman is going to the tournament finals at Full Gear, wrestling either Penta or Kenny. And I kind of spoiled it in the intro, but fuck it, we move. But also then cut a promo talking about his match at Full Gear, and he reinforced the knowledge that it's not about the rankings this time, because Mox has beat every single person ranked in the top 5 for the title. So this was to him, he said, look, this is a personal thing. You made it personal, and because I've beat every single one of the contenders, I want to wrestle you, I want to fight you. And he said, but it's an I Quit match, Eddie. I'm going to make you say I quit. And at Full Gear, you won't be in there with your friends, you'll be in there alone with me and your ego. And I break spines, I crush skulls, windpipes, and egos. And I just found this promo enthralling. Every Mox promo is totally enthralling. You're transfixed to your TV. Everything he says carries such a weight. And I was talking about it last night with them. A lot of people have sort of said that Drew's first reign with the WWE title felt a little bit underwhelming because it all happened behind closed doors with no fans. But Mox had one show in front of fans. But I also think that is indicative of AEW's booking. I think if this was Dean Ambrose, who won the title at WrestleMania off of Brock and had the same reign, and then we had Drew Galloway, who won the title at Revolution off of Chris Jericho and had the same reign, we would be talking about those reigns in the same kind of context. Moxley is just the best professional wrestler in the world right now. I'm so excited for Full Gear. Eddie Kingston then came to the ring wearing a Medusa Complex shirt, which I originally thought was a Schadenfreude shirt, but then it worked out it was Medusa Complex. Speaking of Schadenfreude, got my Donkzilla t-shirt on, which was really cool, and he was flanked by Butcher, Blade, and Bunny. And then Matt Sydal came out, and they just had a fantastic match. A really good, quick match. The story obviously being Matt Sydal is a lot quicker than Eddie Kingston, so Eddie Kingston has to be Eddie Kingston. He has to be rough, he has to be gritty. It was a very good back and forth match, but towards the end, Sydal was building up a lot of momentum. He just got caught with a knee to the gut, spinning back fist, and then as he went down, Kingston locked in the Bulldog choke, which Moxley has been using. And Sydal tapped out almost immediately, but he didn't let go. He made, I believe, Butcher come in with a mic and hold it down to Sydal until he said the words I quit. This match at Full Gear is going to be, I'm honestly saying it could be my favourite match of the year, because Eddie Kingston is my favourite wrestler of all time. John Moxley is probably my favourite wrestler in the world right now. And they're playing to their strengths, which is, let's just go and have a fight. Let's just do whatever we can, let's just have a fight. And I'm excited for that. I do think it's going to be brutal. It's going to be hard to watch at times, but I'm excited for it. We then have the Excalibur interview with the Young Bucks and FTR, who are in separate rooms, and they're, a little Skype interview. And towards the start, Excalibur asks FTR, why would you do this? Why would you, go after Matt's leg? Matt had said, I can't even play with my kids because of what's happened to my ankle last week with the chair and wrapping the chair around his ankle and jumping off the middle rope on it. And Dax says, look, this match is a dream match. We've been talking about this for years, but at the end of the day, it doesn't mean anything if we're not the champions. Being the champions means more than having this match that the internet's going to love. And that's why we did it. And then Excalibur asks more questions to the Young Bucks and just keeps going to the Young Bucks. Another question for Matt, another question for Nick. Young Bucks, Young Bucks, Young Bucks. And then eventually FTR's go, you know what, I don't even know why we're here. So let's just get up, take our mics off, and we'll see you on November 7th. You don't need us here. You don't want us here. All you want to do is ask them questions. So then after they leave, Excalibur kind of turns to the Young Bucks and Nick goes, look, Matt said something earlier and I'm not entirely sure how I feel about it, but you know what, if he's confident enough, I'm happy to let him take the reign on this. And Nick goes to Matt, who is going full on like late 90s Shawn Michaels with his luscious hair and his little cross earring in. It was a good look. It's a very good look. And Matt just says, we're so confident in this. We need this win. If we do not win the AEW World Tag Team Championships, we will never challenge for them again. And they'd love throwing that stipulation in at Full Gear. So I'm curious to see how this pans out. At first I thought he said if we don't win, so maybe they'll get like someone to come in and batter somebody with a chair and they can like cement their heel turn without winning the titles, but Matt said if we don't win the actual championships, we will never challenge for them again. So I'm curious to see how this pans out. The match is going to be fantastic either way. It's something we've been waiting for years. For years, way too long. So I'm very curious to see what actually happens with this going forward. We then had the town hall meeting to decide if MJF will join the Inner Circle. So all the Inner Circle except for Hager come out, and then MJF comes out, and also out on the stage are the hosts Dasha and Tony Schiavone. And as he's walking down to the ring, he just ruffles up Tony's hair, does MJF. And then they get there and they sort of sit in their corners. And the first question is Luchasaurus, and he asks, what can MJF do for the earnings of the Inner Circle? And MJF goes, look at this handy graph I've prepared. Here's the Inner Circle's earnings. Here's what it would be with me. And then Luchasaurus kind of walks away. So that was all fun, opener. Then Reba and Britt Baker walk up, and Reba just starts flirting with Chris Jericho, and then Britt shuts her up. And then she goes, but we do have a question for Chris. The question is this. MJF has a spotty history when it comes to friendships, especially here in AEW. Have you factored that in? And Jericho goes, yeah, we're not dipshits like Cody Rhodes. We know what he's like. That's why he doesn't know about any of our plans or any of his secrets. We don't trust him. And if he tries to sell us out, we'll knock his teeth down his throat. And then MJF sort of pipes out, whoa, who said I'm going to sell you out? We. You know there's two things that we can guarantee as individuals. It's championships and money. And Jericho looks a little bit confused by this, and he kind of says, why would you not want us, if we both make a lot of money and win a lot of championships, why would we not want this Inner Circle to benefit not only us but everyone else? And then finally Tony says we've got our final question coming from an Eric B. And up walks Eric Bischoff. And I get excited when I see Eric Bischoff. I do. I don't know why, I just do. And he had a three-pronged question. To start his question, he quoted John F. Kennedy. And he said, as inauguration, he said, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for it. He says to MJF, what can you bring to the Inner Circle? And MJF goes, I offer one thing and one thing only, and that is friendship. And then the second part is he goes, and what can the Inner Circle offer you? And MJF says, well, I think everyone would agree that I'm not exactly the best team player. I'm not entirely good at that, but if I join the Inner Circle, I'll learn to become better at that. And then the third part, he goes, I've worked with Mr. Jericho for a long time, across many companies, across many years, and almost everyone would across the board agree that he's a prima donna. And at this point, Jericho kicks off, and he's like, whoa, stop, hey, none of that, stop talking. But Tony Schiavone goes, nope, he still has the floor. And then he then says, this is to the Inner Circle, as, and to both of you actually, as MJF possesses many of the same qualities as Chris Jericho, what makes you think this is a good idea and that you won't just kill each other? And Max kind of laughs it off, but then Jericho goes, nah, Max, give him an answer. And he says, Chris, I don't know what more you want. I've done everything. I've brought you presents. I've brought you jackets. I've brought great TV, money, the best segment of your career and the best segment in wrestling history, all because of me. I've done everything. What more do you need me to do? And then Jericho says, he's not done everything. You've not beat me. And now at Full Gear, Chris Jericho will wrestle MJF, and if MJF wins, he is in the Inner Circle. And I'm so excited. This segment was great. This segment was just total wrestling panto. Not in the same way as the wedding on Impact or the steak dinner last week, but it was great. It went on. I could see why I've seen some people saying that maybe went on a little bit too long, but I thought it ran the perfect amount of time. I thought it was perfect because it builds both characters, and I do think wrestling is like historically obtuse. If you don't already watch wrestling, if you've never watched AEW before, watching, even now, you watch, it would maybe take like a month or two to fully understand everything and get everything and sort of know the backstory and know who's who and why he's doing this or whatever. But I think this served as a perfect introduction to these characters, even though this story's been playing out for a very long time. Not a perfect introduction necessarily, but if this was the first episode of Dynamite you've ever watched, the first piece of AEW related media you've ever seen, you get what's going on. And I really enjoyed the segment. I thought it worked wonders. The Lumberjack match for the TNT title was up next as Cody wrestled Orange Cassidy, with each of them brought friends to the ring, and also the Dark Order were there. The match started quick with Orange going for the Orange Punch immediately, some roll-up attempts, a mousetrap attempt, just back and forth, a lot of one-upsmanship right at the start. The match was quite a lot like that, a few sequences of dominance or back and forth from one and then it flips. But there was some very good spots. Primarily there was one point where Orange Cassidy was sent to the outside of the ring and Cody hit him off and he fell back and Chuck and Trent caught him like he was Jesus kind of thing and then just pushed him back up. And then immediately they kind of battled. There was a little sequence and then Cody went up and over to the outside and Orange Cassidy slapped his hands off the ropes and he fell back and Chuck and Trent caught him. And then just let go. I thought that was great. The Dark Order got involved in both sides. Both groups of Lumberjack, both Orange's friends and Cody's friends, were getting in each other's faces quite a lot, and the Dark Order were just there winding everyone up. Cody did at one point superplex Orange Cassidy to the outside of the ring onto everyone, and that was wild. Right towards the end, Cassidy had a few big moves, including Beach Break, and as he was setting up for Orange Punch, I think 10 got in the ring and distracted the ref, and John Silver ran across the big pump kick to Orange Cassidy, who fell into the ropes in like a 619 position, and then Arn Anderson just nailed him with a clipboard, and then as he sort of stumbled back in the middle of the ring, he was hit with a fucking brutal looking crossroads, and Cody Rhodes is still the TNT champion in probably the match of the night. I really liked this match. I thought it was good. I find it weird that Arn got involved in that way, especially after the Dark Order did it, because Cody hates the Dark Order. I found it weird. After that though, after like the finish, there was a big brawl with everyone fighting. The best friends in Orange Cassidy sort of scuppered out of there, and as it came down to it, it was just the Dark Order fighting Gun Club, and Billy and Austin Gunn fought off the Dark Order. And next week we're getting a 6-man, and it is Gun Club and Cody wrestling, I believe, Preston Vance, number 10, John Silver, and Colt Cabana. I know that Silver and Cabana are involved in the match. I think it's 10. And I'm excited for it. And now that does sets up 2 matches for Full Gear, actually. So Cody and Darby Allin, and Orange Cassidy and John Silver on the buy-in. So that'll be a lot of fun. After they managed to get away from the big fight at the end of the Lumberjack match, Trent and Chuck returned to their locker room, and Kip and Miro were there, and they're like, well, we want to say sorry for everything that's happened. We brought you presents. Look, Penelope, bring the presents out. Penelope walks out dressed as Orange Cassidy, gives some presents, turns to the camera, goes like that, and walks away. And they're like, thanks guys, quite glad we could bury the hatchet. But it's a ruse, and Miro and Kip just murder them. And Miro throws Trent into a wall really hard, and the wall looked like it just sounded horrible. And I was like, why would he do that? But then I remember that Trent has at least twice in his career did a plancha, a big over the top rope flip dive, where his opponents have moved and he's just arsed it onto the floor. I'm not talking in AEW when they got the WCW TNA ramp that just comes up and meets the ring. I'm talking like on SmackDown and at Wrestle Kingdom when it's the drop of like 9 feet, 10 feet just onto the floor. Don't know why he would do that, but he's mental, so that's just what he's like. The new NWA World Women's Champion was defending her title next against Layla Hirsch. And the new champion, I forgot to mention, is Serena Deeb. And this was a great match. Serena Deeb's brilliant. Layla Hirsch is also brilliant. The title still had Thunder Rosa's face in it. They didn't get that changed. But Serena Deeb and Layla Hirsch just went at it for, I think it was around about 8-9 minutes. And just a fantastic match showing off what both of them can do. Right towards the end, Layla Hirsch went for a moonsault. Had a very Kurt Angle-esque form on her moonsault. But she missed. Serena Deeb hit 2 swinging neck breakers. And then locked in that submission where she sort of traps the arm around her leg and then grabs a half crab and leans back, but she's not sat on the back, she's sat off to the side, so she's trapped 2 of the limbs and just yanked Layla Hirsch for the victory in a very good match, and I really enjoyed it. After that then we cut backstage to Alex Marvez, who was with Hikaru Shida, and Shida just straight up called out Nyla Rose for Full Gear, so we're getting a rematch from Double or Nothing on Full Gear for the AEW Women's title, and I'm excited for it. I'm very excited for it. AEW's women's division's tricky right now, obviously, because they lost a lot of their big stars. Like I mentioned in my video talking about the biggest positives and negatives from the first year of Dynamite, they lost a lot of their biggest women's division stars to COVID with travel restrictions, and then to injury with Chris Statlander and Britt Baker. And then they had to make the most out of these people who obviously were like cemented in the eyes of the audience, but not to that level. And they've did the best with it. And I've seen a lot of people complaining that there's no build to this, but Abaddon just got injured as well. She was like number 3 ranked. I think Nyla was number 1 ranked, so you just kind of have to go with it, Sean Spears was up wrestling next, wrestling VSK, and this match was over in about 10 seconds because he just hit him with a few punches, picked him up, hit that running Death Valley driver and got the win. But then after he went into the crowd, and as it was Halloween themed, all the wrestlers around the ring were dressed up. So there was someone as a bull, in a bull costume with a big bull hat, and I was like, it's Mantor. Mantor has lost a lot of weight, and it's Mantor. It's got to be Mantor. Turns out it wasn't Mantor. As Spears brought him in the ring to whoop on him, he went over to the toilet, he put the little steel thing in his glove. The bull took his head off, and it was Scorpio Sky. And then he sort of fought him off, and Spears and Tully ran away with their tail between their legs. And I liked this. I thought it was fun. Spears is great. I just want to see him on TV more. Same with Scorpio Sky. And whenever they have their match, it's going to be fantastic. It was then time for the main event, the other semi-final in the World Title Eliminator, with Kenny Omega wrestling Penta. As Penta got on the stage, Phoenix tried to do the pose of them, and Penta just blew him off and ran to the ring. And then Kenny came out, and Justin Roberts again read out all of his credentials, but this time it wasn't like the championships he's won. It was like, this wrestling magazine called him the greatest wrestler of our generation. This wrestling magazine said he's the coolest man in all professional wrestling. Just stuff like that. And Kenny came out wearing a big t-shirt. Now he looked a bit boxy. It looked a lot bigger than the t-shirts Kenny usually wears. Like at least a size up or two. That's a bit weird, but okay, whatever. And then the match starts and doesn't take the t-shirt off. And him and Penta go back and forth for a little bit. And then as soon as there's a bit of reprieve, he pulls his t-shirt up to show that he is wearing the AAA Mega Championship, which he is of course defending against Phoenix at Triple Mania whenever that happens. So he took it off when he lay it in the ring, and he took the shirt off and he said, Penta, come on, chops. So he had him one absolute thunder bastard the one. And then Kenny goes back with one. And then Penta does what he does when he takes his glove off and throws it at the ref. But Kenny just caught it in midair and he was like, nah, chop me right now. And then as Penta came the whole way back from his Achilles, swung it round. Kenny just kicked him and denied us of hearing that chop. And I think for his own sake, that's probably best. The two then just went on to have an incredible back and forth match, as we know they can. They're two of the best in the world. I saw a lot of people surprised that this match is as good as it was, because I think everyone had got their hopes up for the Phoenix match, which obviously would have been fantastic, but people forget how good Penta really... the Lucha Brothers are... I prefer Phoenix. I do prefer Phoenix, but there's nothing that separates them really for me out with just an instinctive... I think pretty much the test of it was, Emmett was saying to me, there was a racist piece on the Cultaholic podcast, which is pick one, don't think about it, a member of a tag team. One of them goes and has the career they're having now and more, but one of them never ever enters wrestling. They said Lucha Brothers, and my instinctive thing was Phoenix. And I think that's the only reason, that's the only thing that separates them, it's just that my gut told me to say Phoenix at one time. They're so evenly matched and I absolutely adore them both. So Penta is on that level with Kenny and with Phoenix, I definitely think. Down the stretch of the match, Kenny has tried for the one-winged angel a few times, but Penta is able to get the best of him, and he snaps the arm. And a package pile driver for two. And it looked like it was all over there, but they get up, Penta gets him up, couple chops, Kenny fights back, hits the ropes, super kicked. Penta goes off for a springboard and just springboards back into a V-trigger and is picked up and hit with a one-winged angel for the win. And that's how Dynamite went off the air, with a banger match. No exposition, no Hangman coming out, but we know that we will be getting that at Full Gear, and I think having a confrontation next week. So yeah, that was Dynamite last night. That was this week's AEW Dynamite. Overall, to give it a number, I'd say an 8. I'd probably say an 8. It was a perfect mix of wrestling and storytelling. I just think, obviously there is a valid criticism of Shida just choosing her opponent. I would have liked to have seen maybe a little bit more time go to Layla Hirsch and Serena Deeb. Could maybe take 2 minutes off of, a minute off of Kingston and a minute off of Hangman's matches, and then 2 minutes off of Kenny and Penta, and you could have got an extra wee bit in that match. But I thought it was good. I liked the Town Hall segment a lot. The interview with Excalibur I quite liked, but I'm worried with this Young Bucks stipulation. I really am worried to see where it goes, because obviously Cody said he was never going to challenge for the world title again, and then they made him his own title, and he's really flourished in that role. and I think that's a fantastic spot for Cody to be in. But I saw someone tweeting for like ultimate heel dickhead level, should the Young Bucks just introduce our junior tag titles that then eventually get scrapped when whoever the tag champs are, probably FTR in like a year or something, says, nah, you know what, we want to wrestle you again. You couldn't beat us, so you brought your own tag titles in. You get one more chance at these titles and then they win, maybe? I don't know. I think those are kind of things, the Sheeta stuff, which isn't a lot for me, but I would have liked to have seen more exposition outside of her just telling Alex Marvez that she wants to wrestle Nyla Rose. And then the stuff with the Bucks kind of took a couple points off. But I would say overall the show's an 8. I did enjoy it, definitely. And yeah, those are my thoughts on this week's All Elite Wrestling Dynamite. If you liked the show, let me know what you thought of it. Leave comments down below for any future talking points video. I do need to make one this weekend. I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to make it on, so brainstorm that over the next couple of hours and hopefully work something out. If you haven't already, please subscribe, like, and share the video around to all your friends who like wrestling. And like I say, if you've got any talking points or any videos you want to see me cover, let me know in the comments. And yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.